This week on Sport Fishing, we're heading to Fisherman's Landing in San Diego, where we're going to be going mini long-range fishing aboard the Royal Star. The Royal Star is one of the best long-range boats on the whole coast. Well, after a short stop at the bait tank, we'll be heading south, looking for tuna and yellowtail. So stay tuned to this week's episode of Sport Fishing. At Fisherman's Landing, you'll find a fully stocked tackle shop that will have everything you'll need for West Coast angling. As soon as everyone gets all their gear on board, we'll be leaving the docks and starting our 3-day fishing adventure aboard the Royal Star. After a short ride through San Diego Bay, our first stop will be at the large bait receiver in hopes of filling up all our bait tanks with large sardines and mackerel. But just getting through the bay through all these sailboats and small boats can be a challenge in itself.
I could sing it to you.
All of the crew members work very hard to load all of the boat's bait tanks, and we'll even fill up the slammer too. Well, we're going to need every bait we can get if we're going to get those tunas to bite on our 3-day trip aboard the Royal Star.
Of the right words to say when I kiss you.
Well, now that we're all baited up, it's time to go in the galley where the skipper's got everybody together to go over the types of fishing that we'll be doing on this trip.
A couple things here. All the fishing we're going to be doing tomorrow, and more than likely all the fishing we're going to be doing the next day, will be drift fishing. All right, we're never going to be getting the anchor down. We simply stop the boat on whatever it is we see and drift for the wind. A couple things about drift fishing, guys. Number one, whenever you're drift fishing with a bait, you're fishing with a bait while the boat's drifting, you want to be fishing with the wind in your face. You want to be fishing on the windy side of the boat. All right. If you're fishing with a bait on the windy side of the boat is automatically going to drift away from your line. Your line's automatically going to go away from the boat. All right. Ideally, when you go to the bait tank, you grab your bait. You can either drop in off the stern or you drop in on the side. All right, something to remember here. Like I said, we're going to be drifting most of the time on here. We drift starboard side too. I try to stop with the starboard side into the wind all the time. Maybe I'll see a school or something. I'll be turned sideways or something. I'll have to stop on the port side. But most of the time, I stop with the starboard side too. And I'll let you guys know that on the PA just about every stop. All right. Why do I say starboard side too? Like I said, wind in your face. Ideally, you want to drop your bait in on the stern or drop it in on the windy side. This boat, the way it drifts, it doesn't drift directly down swell. We drift slightly stern first, all right? So when you're fishing with your bait, if you drop it on the stern, it's automatically going to go towards the corner and start going away from the boat towards the bow, all right? Remember, you guys, the old saying, no angle, no tangle. That goes as far as fighting your fish and as far as when you're bait fishing with a bait on the end of your line. You want no angle at all. You want to keep that line directly in front of you at all times. How you do this when we're drift fishing, say you cast your bait out on the stern, it starts heading upwind and around the corner. You simply take small steps to your left, following your line around. You work your way around the corner, start moving up the side. The line's going to be traveling towards the bow all the time. You take small steps to your left, keeping your line in front of you all the time, and I'm sure you're going to hear myself or hear one of the crew members or one of the guys next to you, hey, keep stepping left. You got to keep moving, all right? Usually 2 or 3 stops into it, everybody kind of figures it out. We get the rhythm of things, the hang of things. Once you get in a good rotation, it starts working very well, all right? Ideally, you drop your bait in the stern, work your way up to about the beginning of the deck cabin, maybe even halfway up the side. If you don't have a bite by then, wind your bait in, change it, and start the rotation again. You start back at the stern and start the whole thing again, right?
The Tackle Box. Tips and information to help every angler improve their chances on the water. This week, the Tackle Box is brought to you by the San Diego Sport Fishing Council.
A medium-sized bait rig, something with, say, 50 pound, even 60 pound, nothing lighter than 40 pound for your medium-sized bait rig, right? A 4.0 size hook. You can put a 3.0 if you're using the 40 pound, and I would say a 4.0 is a good happy medium. 4.0 size hook, 50 pound line, that's another happy medium. That's what I like to see you guys use. On an intermediate size reel, a 4.0, right here, this is one of those 4.0 size Lee Pros, that's fine. 4.0, one of the bigger Newells, a 447, or one of the newer high-speed ones, I can't remember the numbers, what are those, a 535 or something like that, that's fine. One of the bigger Daiwas, the 50, anything like that, something that will accommodate that 50 pound line, all right? As far as this gear goes, I think that, I'm hoping that this is going to be the one piece of gear you're going to need the most. All right, a lot of that bluefin, I don't know if you guys saw us come into that bluefin, it's been biting. When we find a good school, it's been very cooperative. They've been biting the 50 pound line, the 60 pound line, excellent. They've been biting it good. No problem getting a bite on that size line, no problem getting a bite with a 4.0 hook. And also, the fish we've been catching down there, the fish we caught last trip, 55 to 75 pound average. It was just, they were cut right out of the mold, every one we got. All right, it's nice sized fish. The reason you want to be fishing the bigger line is because it's bigger fish. All right, if you hook a 75 pounder on a 25 pound line, you've really got yourself a battle on your hands, and you're going to be lucky to get them anyway. All right, if you get them on 50 pound or 60 pound line, unless some little disaster happens, which they sometimes do, you more or less own it. All right, you want to be ready with a 50 or 60 pound line, your intermediate size rig. You want to be ready, and number one, especially, you want to be ready to use it. All right. Anytime the fish are going to bite the bigger line, you want to be fishing with it. All right. That's definitely the rule of thumb for this trip. Use the bigger line if they'll bite it, which I think they will. Start out with that. I would for sure. Like when we first start fishing, we're going in on a kelp or we're going in on a school. Anytime we're starting out, start out with this middle-sized rig. A couple of good pointers here I can give to you. Number one. Remember, it's hard to believe that sardine has any bit of a brain, as small as he is, but he actually does. They kind of have a mind of their own. They especially have a mind of their own. When you toss them out there, they hit the water, and there's a 50 pound bluefin right here, and a 30 pound yellowfin right there. They've got the only bit of their brain that they have tells them that boat wasn't such a bad place to be. All right, they hit the water, they see that action going on down there, and they head straight for the rudder, straight for the props, straight for under the boat where it's nice and safe, where that fish can't get them. All right. The key to live bait fishing, number one rule, and this goes for whether you're fishing these sardines here, or an anchovy, a Catalina, or a big giant salami down at Clarion. The key to bait fishing is right here in your fingertips, feeling your bait, feeling your line. What are you feeling for? You're feeling for that bait kicking on the end of your line. You're feeling for his little tail beat, all the time. If you can't feel that tail beat on your line, if you can't feel him kicking along there, there's something wrong. Something has happened. He's either gone back under the boat, he's made a big loop, he's gone out the opposite direction. Either that or a fish is eating him coming straight at you. All right? If you can't feel your bait, you'll hear me say it, you'll hear the crew saying it all the time. If you don't feel your bait swimming, find out why. This is exactly what we're talking about. If you don't feel that tail beat on your line, there's a couple of things to do. Number one thing, a lot of times it happens right when you toss your bait out. Boom, it hits the water, and it just goes slack on you. The bait's coming right back under the boat. The thing to do then, the first thing, try backpedaling the spool a little bit. Try getting that slack out, because a lot of times that bait hits the water and he'll get stunned for a minute. There'll be a little bit of slack, and he'll be sitting there trying to gain his senses. If you just backpedal that spool a little bit, kind of give him a little tug, it kind of gets his senses back to him, and he'll dart off down into the deeps. All right? Hopefully that's what he'll do. If you backpedal your spool a couple of times and it's still slack, you can pretty much assume that he's running straight at you fast. Thing to do then, put it in gear and start winding. Wind fast, catch up with him. A lot of times you'll get him right before he goes into the wheels there. Wind it back up and try tossing him out again. A lot of times you're fishing a bait, you might try tossing him once, twice, even 3 times, and you'll get one that no matter what you do, he's going back under the boat. The thing to do then is shake him off and go get a new one. All right, because more or less, that's what you need to do. Just try changing it.
He just landed his first yellowfin tuna. We're fishing aboard the Royal Star, and we're roughly about 220 miles south of San Diego. You're from where, Los Alamitos?
Yep.
Well, congratulations. Here's your first tuna.
Thanks, Dad.
All right. Well, stay tuned, and we'll be right back with more action aboard the Royal Star. All right, we'll put that one away. Now, when you're out here in the tuna grounds, there's a couple of methods that we use to find the fish. Now, the most important method is probably the electronics that we have on board. This boat's furnished with fully Furuno equipment. We have a depth finder, and we have sonar, which helps them find meatballs of fish or meatballs of bait going through the area. Now, on top of the boat, we have what we call a crow's nest, and there's actually a deckhand in there with binoculars looking for jumping fish, kelp patties. Now, the one way that us as anglers participate in trying to find the school fish is by trolling feathers. Now, this one here is made by Zucker. It's got a double hook, mustad hook here with the swivel. Now, the reason for the swivel there is as the bait twirls through the water and spins all over the place, as it bounces around back there, the swivel will keep my line from getting all tangled. I go ahead and just lay this back. You don't want to lay it too far back because you want to be able to bring the fish, use this almost like a suction cup to bring the fish to the boat so everybody else gets a chance at fishing. So just lay this back. You want to sit at about the second, almost to the third swell back there. There we go. And then we'll go ahead and use these straps, we call them trolling straps, to hold the rod. That way you don't have to stand there the whole time holding the rod up. Just leave it like that. Well, that's just one of the methods that we use here to find the fish. Right now, the crew member's back up there, and the skipper and the rest of the crew is looking at all the electronics, trying to find fish too. Let's see if we can find us some here. Over. big yellowtail. Big yellowtail. Oh! There you go. Here we go. Yeah! That's a fish. Is this your biggest yellowtail?
Sure is.
Congratulations. Well, this is typical of what you can get out here on the tuna grounds. You never know if it's going to be a yellowfin or bluefin or yellowtail, dorado. This is a nice size yellowtail.
I'll take it. It's a keeper.
All right, well, stay tuned. We'll be right back with a lot more action from the Royal Star. You better come out and try this action. That's pretty good. Coming through. There we go. Fishing a live bait. Let's see what we got here. We got a tuna here. Here comes the skipper. Yeah! Ooh. There we go, right kind. This is our skipper of the Royal Star, Tim. He just gaffed this fish for me. Beautiful gaff right in the head. This is what we've been trying to find, not the skipjack, but the yellowfin tuna. Thanks a lot, Tim. There you go. Just stay still. He'll circle. He'll just circle. Just wind down. He'll circle right around you. Just stay with. Yep. Keep your rod out. There you go. Okay, one more time. Wind down. Okay, now just lift up right toward the rod. There you go. All right, Mr. Parker. Hank Parker's got another one. All right.
Yeah, how about that?
Here's Hank Parker again, all 80 years of them.
Right on.
Can't tell by his bright hat, but
Bakatari!
he's doing pretty good. He's got a couple of these fish. Nice yellowtail. So skipjack tuna here, I got it on the iron jig. We'll go ahead and bounce them up. It's a little skipjack. This isn't what we're trying to catch. We're trying to find the tuna as the yellowfin and the bluefin. This is a tuna, skipjack tuna, but isn't the good eater that we want. So we'll go ahead and take the hooks out of it real quick. See if we can. This one really ate the jig good. Thanks. There we go. We'll just go ahead and release it. There he goes. It's out of here. All right, well, stay tuned and we'll be right back with more action aboard the Royal Star. There goes another fish.
The tip of the week is brought to you by Checkpoint Hook and Knife Sharpeners.
Hi, my name is Jason Sweeney. I'm one of the crew members on the Royal Star. I'm here today to show you a few quick knots. First, I'd like to point out the ideal rod situation for these larger sized fish. We have here a Penn International SW, which is a 2-speed, ideal for the larger fish. The first knot I'm going to teach you today is going to be with 80-pound test and a size 7/0 hook. This is good for the larger baits. This knot is simply putting the line through the eye of the hook, twisting up the lines 5 times, and then back down towards the eye of the hook 4 times, and back through the loop. Cinching this one tight, this is ideal for the larger size fish, a very strong knot. The next knot I'm going to show you today is called the Palomar knot. This is also a good knot for larger fish, easy to tie and also quick for the hot bites. This one is simply folding the line over, going through the eye of the hook, making a loop, going back through the loop, and then around the hook. Again, cinching this knot tight, This knot is also ideal for the larger size fish. I hope I've been able to teach you guys a few quick tips on tying knots. And I hope to see you guys out there fishing in the future.
We're close. Gotta keep his head up. Come on, baby. Come on.
Yeah, Dan. Yeah, over here.
We got it. Oh!
Come on, guys, work together here.
Hook popped out, lost it. Well, that fish got away, but join us next week when I get another shot at a big tuna. And on next week's episode, we'll have part 2 of our 3-day trip aboard the Royal Star. The fish get bigger and they get a lot meaner too. So make sure you set your TV and VCR to watch us right here on Sport Fishing.